Welcome to 101 with Vihan. This is a special occasion for Buddhists all over the world. Today we are recognized as one of the full moon day, and the full moon day itself is called Magha Puja. Generally, when we talk about the Magha Puja, it is very important in a sense that after the Buddha's enlightenment, something around 9 months, one extraordinary event took place at the time of the Buddha. So in a sense that we have to go back to the historical event going back something around 2,600 millennia. So once, if we go back to that very day, on this full moon day of Magha Puja, then what happened is that it was recorded in the text that suddenly, without any prior notice, the venerable monks who have reached what we call nirvana, all the arahat, in the number of 1,250 of them, just without prior notice, without any invitations, they were gathered to see the Buddha. It was very auspicious in a sense that once Buddha gave ordination to those monks at the time by himself, generally when the monks are ordained, the aim of the Buddhist monk at the time is that Buddha would send them away to propagate Buddhism, the message, for the benefit of many, for the happiness of many, and with the compassion of the world. So most of all the Buddhist monks at the time, after got ordination from the Buddha himself, generally scattered and traveled here and up and down around the country. So it was quite very amazing that without any informations, any invitations, all those monks who has gone far away from the Buddha suddenly came back to see the Buddha, and it was the very day of like this full moon day, the Magha Puja. So it is said that it was a full-fledged assembly. The first assembly, the first event is that itself is the full moon day, just like today. The second event is that all 1,250 monks were all saints or all arahats. They have been practiced and they have already reached nirvana. And the third is that all of them were the first batch of Buddhist monks. And all 1,250 of them happened to be ordained by the Buddha himself. And the way he ordained at the time would have been the type of ordinations we just started at the time. That was by saying that ehi bhikkhu upasampada. If someone wished to ordain at the time, Buddha would just simply say that, oh, from now on you become a monk. So you are now monk. So by simple announce of monkhood, you change your dress and to become monk. So those monks were the first batch or the first batch of monks who was ordained by the Buddha himself, and they have practiced until they have reached what we call the arahat or what we call this nirvana. and it was a full moon day. So these are the 4 different, what we call is fourfold assemblage. Why it is important to these days? You can see that Buddhists everywhere, not only in Thailand actually, the celebration of Magha Puja like today happened to be something like invention of Thailand in actually, although it was mentioned in the time of the Buddha in the life history of Buddhism. But when we talk about the Buddhist celebration, the celebration, which is a worldwide celebration, is mostly what we call is global celebration, is Buddha's birthday or Buddha's death day or Buddha's the first teaching day, what we call a Vesak Day. Vesak Day is very popular, and it has been the history of celebration going back to thousands of years. But we don't have a celebration which is a global festival like today is Magha Puja or Magha Puja Day. And the very beginning of a Magha Puja Day was the invention of this festival by the late King Rama IV, King Mangkut, who happened to be the first abbot of this very temple. The Prince Mangkut, when he was still a prince, he was a Buddhist monk, and he was head of this very temple called Wat Bawar Niwet Vihan. And he was the most erudite Buddhist monk at the time. And he was very, very well known to the Buddhist canon. He knew several languages, especially the Bali language. So he came to think that once we have a celebration for the Buddha, what we call Vesak Day, but there should be some kind of celebrations which dedicated to the Sangha is one of the triple gem itself. So accordingly, the King Mangkut invented this Magha Puja festival first time in Thailand to dedicate to the Venerable Sanghas of that time. So we have Buddha's Day, that is Vesak, and second is the, what you call is today, Magha Puja or Magha Puja Day, which is mostly dedicated to the Sangha. And another day is Asala Puja Day, which is the day when Buddha gave first sermon to the 5 ascetics for the first time. So that day would consider as one of the Dhamma days dedicated to the Dharma. In Buddhism, for many Buddhists, they knew that when we think of the symbol of Buddhism, it will be a triple gem, that is the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So today is a celebration of the Sangha itself, the disciple of the Buddha himself. The event which took place at the time of the Buddha with 1,250 monks is very unique in a sense that it was a custom at the time that when all the Buddhist monks in every full moon, they gather together and then recite or going through kind of reflections of the Buddha's teaching for better understanding. So it is a custom in Buddhist practice that once we listen to the Buddhist teachings, once we listen to any teachings, then we have to reflect upon it. We have to bring back to the real investigation and then make true understanding so that it can transform someone who really studied Buddhism. The whole idea of Buddhism is a transformations. Transform from uncivilized to be civilized. Transform someone from a bad person to a good person. Transform someone from undeveloped to a developed. So the very idea of what he calls is Bodhi, which means that awakened, the Buddha, basically means that someone whose eyes are wide open and able to see the ultimate truth, which is hidden from our eyes in daily life. So these transformations took place at the time of the Buddha with 1,250 monks. So suddenly when those 1,250 monks gathered and come and see the Buddha, so Buddha took it as a very good symbol, and instead of having a usual teaching, Buddha gave that a very special teaching called Ovada Patimokkha. Basically, Ovada Patimokkha simply means that the main principle of the Buddhism. Main principle of Buddhism. So what are they? Generally, when we are talking about Buddhism, I guess that it is a universal quotations we can hear we have listened, we can see that, we can read that, is that not to do all evil, to do all good, develop your mind. That is a teaching of the Buddha. This is one of the verses which took place on this very day of Magha Puja, or like a full moon day of a Magha month. So on that very day, so Buddha, instead of having a usual teaching, so he more or less summarized all his teaching. So imagine that it took place after the Buddha's enlightenment, something around 9 months. So it was on the full moon after May was his enlightenment. And then until the February, it means that about 9 months later, it was another full moon day. So the Buddha more or less summarized all of his teaching in 3 verses actually. And that was given to these 1,250 monks who has already fulfilled their practice, and then they were already achieved what he called nirvana. So what are those 3 verses of teaching? In fact, the 3 verses of teaching is so simple, and then it's so kind of amazing that why this simple teaching was taught to those 1,250 monks who have already enlightened. Why the Buddha was giving just simple teaching? Because to be honest, all those 1,250 monks has known all those teaching very well. Without knowing all those teaching, they wouldn't be able to achieve what he calls nirvana or enlightenment. But the Buddha gave the summary on that very teaching with the 3 verses, which I simply put it in the 3P. So it will be easy for us to remember. The one is that on this very day, Buddha announced what we call is Buddha's philosophy. So we talk about the Buddha's philosophy. What are the Buddhist philosophy in a very simple form? And the second P is the Buddhist principles. And what are the Buddhist principles? And the third is that the advice for the Buddhist propagation. So if we have to memorize, if we have to tell somebody the importance of this very day of Magha Puja, we can present them in the 3P. That is what we call is philosophy, principle, and propagation. So coming back to the first verses of the Buddhist teaching, that is the Buddhist philosophy. What is Buddhist philosophy? Buddhist philosophy is that Buddha said it a very simple word in Pali called Khanti Paramang Tapotitikha Nibbanang Paramang Vadanti Buddha Nahi Pabajito Parubaghati Samanohoti Parang Vihetayanto. So the main philosophy of Buddhism is that Khanti Paramang Tapotitikha. In the name of your practice, the most important practice is that the endurance, the patience. Imagine that in everyday life, what we call stress, what we call suffering, all these suffering, stress has been a very impact upon our life because we are lack of this very virtue called endurance. So therefore, Buddha says that it is not a kind of a ritual, it is not a kind of a sacrifice you have to do in the name of a religion, but it is the endurance itself, it is the patience itself, it is skill, the virtue you have to develop from the inner you, in a sense that whatever situations, you are able to stand on it, you are able to chew the problem, you are able to face the stress, and that is what Buddha's philosophy all about, the first Buddhist philosophy. The second Buddhist philosophy is every Buddha says that Nibbana. Nibbana is the ultimate goal of Buddhism. Of course, when he said that Nibbana, it is sometimes a very big word, and then sometimes people say that it is something normal like I and you wouldn't able to understand. In fact, the Nibbana is just simply means that extinguishing of the fire. Which fire? The fire which burns you all the time. Why we are burned? If we notice and see that we are always burning with the fire of what? Desire, fire of anger, a fire of delusions. So these 3 fires has been really burning us, and then this is a cause of stress, cause of suffering. So therefore, Buddha says that to able to put that fire down, to extinguish that fire is the ultimate philosophy of Buddhism. Then when you say that nahi pabajito parupaghati, when you say that I am a recluse, I am a monk, I am someone who has become a monastic, the meaning of a monastic, the very meaning of very lifestyle of a monastic should be not hurt someone else. So it has to be the whole idea of a peace is given there. If you want to be someone who called a religious man, then the very idea, the very virtue you have to develop is that you have to be peace from inside of you. So that is another philosophy of Buddhism. And when you say that you are the monastic, you are someone who is dedicated religious man, again, you shouldn't hurt someone else or someone, you should live more calmly with the society. So these are the more or less the four philosophy Buddha has announced on this very day of Magha Puja day. Then what are the principles of the Buddhism then? Then Buddha teach about the principle of Buddhism. In the principle of Buddhism, there are more or less three main principles. Sabba papasa akaranang kusalasu pasampada sachitta pariyodapanang etang buddhana sasanang. Which simply means that not to do all evil, to do all wholesomeness, to do all good, and to purify your mind. This is a teaching of the Buddha. So in a way that Buddha really summarized to those venerable monks that if those monks have to go and teach someone else, because although they have been graduated, they have been achieved the nirvana, they have been achieved what you call is the arahatship, the basic idea is that sometimes you don't know how to teach those principles to others. So in a way, Buddha gave very summary of his whole teaching on this very day called Magha Puja day. The principles which become one of the cornerstone of Buddhism, one of the heart of Buddhist teaching, that is the word the Buddha himself summarized, not to do all evil, to do all good and purify your mind. When we say that not to do all evil, what do you mean by that? Actually, not to do all evil means that generally when in our lifestyle, in our daily life, we might do this and that, all the things, all the time, with your awareness, with your consciousness, or without your consciousness. So therefore, our life sometimes is not pure as we wish. So therefore, the main idea is that just like cleaning the plate, cleaning the cup. So not to do all evil means that stop doing all the bad things, means that it is take the first step to cleanse your container, clean your cup. Once it is clean, then you can put something good on it. That is do your all wholesome, do all goods. So in a way that the good thing won't waste it. The good thing you can develop within yourself. Once your mind is clean, then you can put a lot of good things. The most important thing in Buddhism is the mind. Mind is that. Mind is what? Mind is a way of thinking. The mind is a way of you gain your knowledge. Mind is something that how you develop as your wisdom. So you have to purify that. You have to be really knowledgeable on keeping your mind pure and clean. So these are the three main principles of Buddhism. When somebody asks that, what is the essence of Buddhism? You can just summarize in these three words. Yes, stop doing all the bad things, cultivate doing good things, and purify your mind. So these are the essence of Buddhism. Then once he has summarized as the principles, then Buddha also went on to give the idea of if the Buddhist monk has to go to the different places and then have to propagate those teachings, those philosophy and those principles, how you do that. Then Buddha says that there is anupawado, anupaghato, patimokhe cha sangvaro, mattanyuta cha pattasming, pantan cha sayenasanang, atichitte cha ayogo etang buddhana sasanang. What does it mean? Basically means that when you go to the different places, alien place, to the different community, different group, different sort of a bunch of people, when you go there, don't enforce your idea upon them, anupawado. Don't go and blame them. Don't go and criticize them. That is a very important teaching Buddha gave 2.5 millennia years ago, 2,500 years ago. It is the most important teaching, I guess, for the pluralistic society like these days. These days we have different ideas, different religions, different understanding of things. So when we have to live amidst all those diversity, the main important thing Buddha says that we have to have this tolerance, idea of tolerance by not criticizing someone else. Look upon inside you and don't look that someone is wrong. So that is first principle. First principle for propagation is that don't criticize someone else. Anupaghato, don't hurt someone else. Not only criticize by the words. Don't beat up someone. Don't go and hurt someone. You can see that society is always having problem. We are lack of peace because you are imposing your superiority. You are imposing your idea upon others by the force, even by beating, even by all different kind of non-human actions. So that is another very important principle Buddha mentioned here, that you shouldn't impose your idea upon someone with force. Then once you don't imply that, what you do that? So Buddha says that patimokkheya sanvara. So we have to be restrained. We have to follow, stick on our principles. We have to stick on our goal. As a Buddhist monk, as a Buddhist practice, the goal has been said that the one is that we have to purify our mind, we do good and stop doing all the evil things. So that is that we have to stick on the main principle of those teachings. And also in our daily life, Buddha also teaches that we have to know, we have to learn how to live our daily life by in the consumptions, you know when to have enough, the word enough. So we have to have this restraint in consuming. These days you can say that we are in the world of consumerism. Suddenly the consuming become one of the doors of development. But Buddha says that true, consumption is an indication of development. But if it is too much, then it's create problem. And you can see that modern days, we have become plague of this consumerism. We have become plague of capitalism in a sense that we are really suffering from not to know how to control, how to restrain on our consumption. So Buddha is very much emphasized on the restraining on consumptions. You know when to say enough. You know when to say stop. Then time to time we have to find a way. Pantancha sayanasanang. We have to find the way to isolate ourselves. Sometimes we are very busy bee, doing in a society, doing all different kind of things. And then we say that at the end of the day, I'm so tired, so stressed. So basically, this has happened because you are not treating yourself well. So therefore, Buddha says that you have to treat yourself. You have to find a way to isolate yourself. Pantancha sayanasanang. You have to isolate yourself from the community. You have to isolate from society. So in a sense that this is a very, very important message, even for this modern age, when we have to face with the situation of the coronavirus. We can see that when the coronavirus is only attacking where there is no isolation, where there is a lot of bad things, a lot of group activities going on. So Buddha says, from the time of the Buddha says that we should know time to time and take time out and then, maybe sit or get some advantage from the isolation of yourself. So in a way that once you are in isolation, then you have to have a development of your mind, atichitteja yogo. So you should develop the way of thinking. The mind here means the way of thinking, way of perceiving the knowledges, way of perceiving the data. You can see that these days we are undated by all this data with the social media until we are so stressful. So if we know that, how to develop those data and how to take all those data into considerations And you can see that become the main idea of how you survive in these modern days. So Buddha's idea on this Magha Puja day basically saying that you should not criticize someone else, you should not hurt someone else, you stick on the principle, you have to restrain on your consumption, and in time to time find your way to live in isolation, and then have a time to develop your mind. So these 6 aspects of the propagation is so important. Buddha has given on Magha Punnami or Magha Puja day at the time of the Buddha. So we can see that this very celebration, what they call a Magha Puja day, it's become a festival for Buddhist monks, it is a festival for Buddhist society, and the festival itself was invented by the King Mangkut of the first abbot of this temple, in a sense that to remind of those very teachings, to bring back those essential teachings so that people can still follow and practice and get benefit from those teachings. So this is called Ovada Patimokkha. So those teachings, although it has been taught 2,600 years ago, but you can see that it is very fresh and timeless teaching that we are still we are still related those teachings with our life. Just to give a small summary of this very day, Magha Puja day, that's why in Thailand we have celebration of Magha Puja day in every temple by recalling all those teachings and try to put in practice so that we can get benefit from practicing a Buddhist practice or practicing those Buddhist teachings. Buddhist teachings are not for those rituals. When they're all just behind me, the people are taking the circumambulations with the incense sticks, with the candles, with the flowers, and then walking around mindfully, recollecting the virtue of the Buddha, the virtue of the Dhamma, virtue of the Sangha, as a way to remind yourself, as a way to reflect upon yourself, how have you been using your time, how have you living your time out these days. So in order to live out, in order to be a true Buddhist, or even to be able to benefit from those teachings, you have to think of these 3 P, the philosophy, the principle, and the propagations. In terms of a philosophy, as I say, is that you have to think of the patience, the endurance as a part of your life. You have to think of the solving after your daily life, that is a nirvana, that is the ending of your suffering, ending of your stress, as one of your daily aim. And then you should know how to live peacefully and calmly in the society. That is the Buddhist philosophy. The second part, the principle, is that not to do all evil. So you have to stop. If you know yourself that you are doing something wrong, then stop doing that. And then cultivate something good. Good for yourself, good for others. And then most importantly, you expand your way of your thinking, expand the way how you think of others. And that is the principle of Buddhism. And whereas in the propagations, in order to live with the society, it is not the only way of propagation, it is a way how you survive in this pluralistic society, in the age of pluralism, in the age of diversity, that you have to really look down inside of yourself and don't impose your view, don't impose your idea on someone else with a force or even with a corrupted mind. So respect someone's view, respect the diversity, respect the different opinion. That is a very important message indeed for this present world. And in time to time, you have to eat to survive, not eat to enjoy whatever you are taking in. And then most importantly, we should find the time to be away from all this crowd, all this busyness, and then try to find some peace and calm within your mind, within your lifestyle, So in a way that it will really like charging your battery day to day. So this is try practice meditation and so on. So this is a very important practice. Then give time, develop your way of thinking, develop your mind, mental development, and these are the teachings which Buddha has summarized to all those 1,250 monks, so that all those monks not only practice, they have already achieved the aim of the Buddhist teaching, but once the Buddha gave those summary of his teaching, so they can go and share those knowledge with others who are the beginners, who are the someone who is expert, who doesn't know how to summarize, how to put in summary. So they can use this summary to explain the Buddhism. So in a way that the one who hear those teachings, they are able to bring those teachings into action. It's not as a philosophy itself, but warning, reflecting in daily life, and then bring those teachings into your very life. So this is what we call a celebration. This is what we call a puja in Pali. Puja means that to put into practice. So today is a one Magha Puja day, what we call is the very important Buddhist festival. According to the calendar, the first Buddhist festival of the year. And we are here in Wat Bowaniwet Vihan to celebrate this annual festival. You can see, although this is in a COVID period, the people are still in a big crowd, but everyone is stick with their rules and regulations, keep themselves healthy with the event, with the Buddhist teaching itself. The whole main Buddhist teaching has been your self-accountable, take your own responsibility as well as the other responsibility. So once you are taking care of your society, once you are taking care of yourself, I'm sure that we can get away with this COVID-19 more successfully than just rely on the vaccine itself. So what I say is that today is a Magha Puja day. We need to take our mental vaccine so that we can not only get away from the physical victimize of this COVID, so do not let that COVID victimize our mind as well. So this is my final remark on this Magha Puja day, that you would understand the meaning, the essence of the celebration, this festival, and then take this festival as something, a very strong warning, a strong way to bring your knowledge into your practice. Bring those teachings not as a philosophy, but put in your daily life. So this is something I would like to leave all of you, that may Magha Puja celebration, the Magha Puja festival, bring your life safe, free from COVID, and prosper in your life with the practice of those teachings which Buddha gave as a summary on this very day. Thank you.